I don't know how to describe this or even how to do this beginning at all except to use the word what. Hello, hello, my name is Brandon Wheeler. I have strong mouth because when I was in the army, I had like heat stroke thing happen, can't talk right, listen, bite down something, moving on from that. Uh, I'm a self published author and everything, and this is just my channel where I do some book reviews, games, and stuff like that. I've been reading through and I've completed C.S. Lewis's The Space Trilogy. It has three books in it. It has Out of the Silent Planet, which was like, oh, okay, interesting, and Paralandra, which I absolutely love. And it finishes off for the trilogy ending with That Hideous Strength. That book is a little bit longer than Paralandra and Out of the Silent Planet combined. And I read that, people said this book is kind of trippy. Yeah, it's just kind of like, what? I mean, even in the prologue, like a forward before the book starts, Lewis is addressing like, yeah, I know this book is just bear with me here, essentially. And it's just like, let me give you an example. Like here's the back of the book, what it says. In the concluding book of the trilogy, that hideous strength, the dark forces that were repulsed in the out of silent planet and Paralandra are poised to invade Earth, while rumor circulates that the ancient wizard Merlin is returning and offering tremendous power to those who can find and control him. The heroic Dr. Ransom is trying to handle these threats while battling a sinister technocratic organization by applying age-old wisdom to a new universe dominated by science. These groups struggle to a climatic resolution that brings the space trilogy to a magnificent crashing close. And it's just like, okay, that sounds interesting and what everything, but then actually reading what Lewis wrote in a forward is like, yeah, if I was a lawyer, I would put it from like a lawyer point of view. If I was a doctor, I would use more of a scientific point of view or something like that. But because he's no more used to professorships and everything like that, being a college stuff, he decided that I'm going to kind of set it around in a college and everything, and that's what it is. The group he's dealing with is in this book is called NICE. NICE. That's probably what I would say. It's always in abbreviations. The NICE, which is the National Institute Creativity Science, whatever the frick it is. But it's basically trying to put humans further beyond humans, you could say, in a way. Like you see in the last book, you see, the other guy get possessed briefly. That's what they're trying to push more in this. But they're like, oh yeah, the Elendils, these ones that they're talking to us, they're higher than what we are, and we're trying to get in touch with them so we can follow through with them and everything. And it's just like, you do realize these Osiris, or whatever you want to say, like Dr. Ransom would say, or whatever like that, is these are bent. These are bad ones. They're not trustworthy. But they don't know that, nor that I think they care. And it's just like, okay, interesting. So it deals a lot with the nice works and everything. It's just like, well, how does that deal with what we've been seeing with Dr. Ransom, or Dr. Ransom being the college guy? But it deals more with another guy who's he's he's like a writer and he's trying to make his way in the world. He's a few years married and everything, but his name is Mark, and he's like a writer, and he's like, well, my position doesn't really follow through with this, but Nice is like, no, your journalistic integrity will help influence, the papers and the people and everything. And so he starts working with them and stuff, but really all behind the scenes is kind of like, you will not be able to leave once you join, because they start using their quote unquote police force to kill people that don't try to leave or call them out. And turns out they're being controlled by a quote unquote head. It's like a severed head of a human that they use in a way from that the bad Cyrus used to talk through to the other guys who are really in control of everything. And it just makes it kind of like, what? Because you can look it up. There is an actual experiment. I've seen videos of it where, like early 1900s, so they did stuff to keep a dog's head alive. That's essentially, in a way, what's going on here. The dog, his head's moving, he's eating, chewing, and stuff like that. But they kind of do the same thing with this head. But even though the scientists are thinking like, oh no, it's like we're keeping the heads alive and everything. There's really a darker force actually influencing the head, what's speaking through it and crap like that. And it just gets trippy and everything because the real reason they want Mark is his wife seemingly has like premonitions or dreams of like kind of like a prophetess type thing, and so they try to go after her, but she gets involved with this other group with Dr. Ransom, who's kind of in charge and everything. His heel's still hurt from the Paralandra with the struggle there, and it's just very different and everything going on, and it's just like what. It is a long book. You could say a lot of philosophical mumbo jumbo, but let me read you a portion there. I found it because it was like okay, there's this guy named Frost who's this is how I picture how he talks, but when he's Mark, I won't spoil everything, but Mark's in a cell at the institute, and this is when Mark, starting with Mark says, "If you're going to kill me, why are the farce of a murder charge?" "Before going on," said Frost, "I must ask you to be strictly objective. Resentment and fear are both chemical phenomena. Our reactions to one another are chemical phenomena." How do you ever say it? "Social relations are chemical relations. You must observe these feelings in yourself in an objective manner. Do not let them distract your attention from the facts." And it's just this guy, he just keeps going on with this type thing. I just want to highlight this specific kind of thing. Where's that other paragraph? Anyway, he's just always going on about your emotions are chemical emotions. They are phenomena. They're not real. They're but instincts that must be made lower when you object to suppress to higher objectivity. And it's like, what the crap are you on? I mean, it's just like, I hate all these people. A weird picture room and everything. Look, Pearlandra is by far out of the three my favorite. I will say that Pearlandra might be my favorite C.S. Lewis work, maybe besides Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe. Of course, I haven't read everything yet, but Hideous Strength is like what in the? It's like a higher level of everything, but it's just so tedious because he's using all the language stuff that they would do like in Fellows College and everything. So it's much more highbrow, even in some ways than Pearlandra. Whereas Pearlandra, you can kind of get, it was like, okay, it's trying to prevent the Garden of Eden from happening the bad way on a different planet. That's essentially what Pearlandra is going into. This is like trying to stop people from making man, trying to connect with like evil spirits that. Uh, you're just gonna have to read it for yourself. It is a dry read. That's why it's taken me so long to read through it. I actually finished this like a week and a half ago, but it's just taken so long to go through it because Pearlandra, once I started getting into it, I was like, oh wow, this is really good to read, and I couldn't put it down. Whereas this is like, what? It wasn't until about halfway where his wife Jane was trying to get assaulted and everything by the nice police. They're trying to drag her back or something, that things started picking up, and then the whole thing with Merlin. I'm like, we have Merlin here now, and the reasons for that, like towards the end, is like, huh? It's like what? Seriously, it's just like what? That's best that I could describe. So Hideous Strength is just like, it's definitely out there, much more intellectual, highbrow stuff going on. Or as intellectual phenomena, you must not give in to your simplicity. You must be completely objective. As Frost would say. That's how I imagine he talks in the book. Seriously. So it's. Have you read the Hideous Strength? What do you think about that? Because it is. Oh gosh, it is definitely a trip, and it's just like C.S. Lewis puts all his. I think Mr. Lewis really put all as much random and as much stuff he could put in to the story. It felt like almost he could have split it into two stories. Almost maybe he should have, but I don't know. Uh, have you read it? Tell me what you think about it. What do you think of the trilogy as a whole? It is a good trilogy. Third book is just weird out of craziness. First book is really the most, sci-fi-ish. Paralandra, I won't say is the most sci-fi. It's the most intriguing aspect of like trying to prevent Garden of Eden fall. Hideous Strength is like the most intellectual, trying to undermine the quote unquote wise to show them to be fools, which happens. I won't spoil all that. It's just kind of like, I will say that moment that happens in that dining room, it's like very almost graphic. Maybe the most graphic thing, almost besides the birds, what happened to them in Pearl Harbor. But I was just like, what in the world? It's very visceral. I was like, this is dark. But that's just what that is. Now, speaking of C.S. Lewis, I actually got this a long time ago. I was reading it at the same time as I was trying to read some other things. I stopped reading it, but I've gone back to it now since I'm done with this. I was like, okay, now I can really focus on this. So I started over because I was only 2 chapters in. Now I'm on chapter 5. But I'll talk about this later on once I'm done with it. So, again, Hideous Strength, whole trilogy. What do you think about it? Is it a must read? Yeah, just be prepared to get through Hideous Strength because it is a slog, but even C.S. Lewis recognizes, like, I know this is a thing, just deal with it. And it's like, okay. Political in a lot of ways, if you want to get into how college stuff, things, and the pressures and everything going on, is just like, ugh. But either way, thank you for watching. Tell me what you think about it, and goodness. Whew.